So much for joining me. Polina here, talking to you about the new moon, belatedly, but I hope still. There is some interesting information in this video, even though it might be mighty late for some. Let's talk about the basic things. Okay, so firstly, my computer broke, and I'm doing this on my friend's computer. Fun. We are approaching Saturn in the sky with the Sun, so that means that by the end of the month we're going to have a Saturn-Sun conjunction. This is something to keep in mind. As we are approaching Saturn, some things can go up in flames, which is why it is good to have a steady footing and not be too scared of making calls, but at the same time be very, very kind and make sure that you are also working hard if you have to work hard at something that you're doing. And if you have a very, very emotional and ruckus personality, and if you're looking to achieve something very grand during this particular February, try to keep that low, try to keep that tight and connected to center, because it is good to stay practical and stay put, as there is a lot happening in the nervous system today. The nervous system being Aquarius. Aquarius is the guidance for our collective nervous system, and it is very, very good to make sure that we don't overdo it, that we don't over embellish, and we don't over explain ourselves even. It's very, very stark time for some people, and in certain situations they can also lose things that they need. They can even lose people. So it's important to be, yes, very mighty and very colorful, which is what Aquarius is about, but also have a careful step as we are getting very close to Saturn. So what can I say about this moon? The new moon usually, to many people, most people, represents a starting point for something. We are, though, in the last two signs of this year, so this means that we are encroaching upon the end of the year. And that's something that I talk about each and every season. The fact that we're not at the beginning, that we're only at the mere end of the year, which means that we are here putting our ducks in a row. We are facing facts of our lives and hopefully making bigger, better and more beautiful decisions based on understanding simple fact and action. So this moon is not the best or the proudest moon, partially because it is the moon of the giver of information. It's very good for systems, it's very good for geeky stuff, it's very good for knowledge, and it's very good for improving an existing idea or changing the course of a certain existing idea. It is not a great moon to start anything over again, because it's just a little bland. Aquarius is not the best place for the moon to be. So in a sense, it is going to be a slightly dry, stark little moon, but it's wonderful for adventures and seeing people, making friends, and changing your dimension socially. It's wonderful to call someone up and say, I'm sorry. It's a wonderful moon to make a friend again. It's wonderful to rekindle with certain family members and to keep it bright and sparkly and factual. It's not a moon to remember. So memories, emotions, that's what the moon really wants usually. A moon in Aquarius doesn't necessarily want to be remembered or to remember, but it just likes to enjoy simple facts and action. So sometimes it can be very brisk, and sometimes it can be very loyal and slightly immature. But there's definitely a very deep side to this moon, as a very big humanitarian aspect is also seen within it. So we also have this amazing stellium tracing after the Sun and the Moon, which includes Venus, Mars, Pluto and Mercury there. So it's going to definitely put some power in there, put some pleasure in there. It's about respect and self-respect, and it's also about adventure and sometimes doing things quicker than other people are prepared to do. So in a sense, it is not necessarily about being super active and doing as much as you can. It's just bubbly. It's a bubbly, wonderful action at a distance that sometimes happens during this time of the month, or that can happen during this time of the month. And it's also feeling to me that another aspect that is going to be known and seen is poverty, lack and scarcity. And this can be in any way. This could be about money, of course, it could be about status, and it could also be a poverty of will, because Aquarius is the elder sign. It's the sign of like the end result of your life. This is where you have retired. Capricorn is, like the employer, the granddaddy, and then granddaddy retires, which is Aquarius, and then Pisces is the end of life. So it's very, very dry sometimes. It's also very beautiful to see your last results, your final results, understanding what has really come to be, and respect that which is factual and which is actually really here, which is an important part of this cycle. And just understanding and respecting also common knowledge and common life results, and understanding what is real and normal for other people can actually also really help you out sometimes. It's a wonderful time to have a look at the gallery of your creations, the gallery of your world, and pick the best. In some cases it is about being marveled and spoken about. It is about having fun and enjoyment, also with this Mars and Venus conjunction. It is kind of about being seen, and to some degree it's also about a very obvious feeling of poverty, or a very obvious feeling of lack. So this could be like, I never have enough time for me. This could be also something like, I never get what I want. We also have to look at people that are just naturally getting less. For example, this could be a nutrient low diet, you know, or it could be, I don't have enough time for anything, or it could be, I don't really have many people that come and see me sometimes, or I spend so much time in front of the computer, I don't really live. It's very, very important to see also those people that are very dusty, left behind and stuck in places which are not appropriate. We have to take care of our flock and definitely see each other's dreams come true. So in some vision, maybe there is a need to get together and reorganize, especially when it comes to grouping and your place in a pecking order. I'm not saying that this is a hero state or zero to hero type of state. I don't feel that it can be. Projects can come to pass with low or low level result during this particular time. I don't believe that a lot of new flying high fetching projects are going to really give us what we need, because there is a tied aspect to any Aquarian moon. So in a sense, I believe, or I trust, it's much better to try and patch up and scope up what really needs to be done and what needs to be cared for. And as we are facing the Saturn and Sun conjunction, it is good to patch things up and make sure that we are not constantly healing through things that we cannot fix. It is really good for alternative solutions. It's very good for alternative medicines. It's also very good for technology. And it's an interesting time for the person that is not usually seen. For example, the geek, the guru, the person that stays away, the person that is solving world problems without even being known for it. And definitely there are people that are not usually in the game that are going to start to become obvious. For example, a person behind the scenes, a person that's trying to fix something. And yes, we also have to talk maybe about ungrateful jobs, or people not feeling very much like other people are grateful to them. So the person doing things in the background, the behind the scenes stuff, people doing tech support, people waiting for other people to acknowledge them. And yes, in a sense, sorry about the noises, it is about the weakness and the weakling. To some degree, there are some people that are going to really have to understand and realize their weakness. And this could be weakness of body or spirit, or it could be just feeling like you have been shortchanged by life. And in some great design and some conclusions and situations, it is also about artistry and being able to provide great results even with limited resources, or being a person that has to scheme, scope out and do the impossible to do something great. So for example, a person that can feed a family by working 3 jobs is very obvious and seen today. A person that has been trying so hard and running around tired trying to do things for everybody else is seen today. And also a person that gets the most respect during this time could be the one that has the least respect usually. So I'm not telling you that this is necessarily the time of the underdog, but we have to see them, these people that are working behind the scenes, and maybe also people that are waiting or trying to time themselves with other people's results, people that are trying to help others. Maybe there are also paramedics, Maybe there are people that are growing other people like trees. There are people that are trying to change the consciousness of this planet, or that are not actually asking for that joy and that peace that a lot of people have. Then there's also this other side. Well, firstly, let's talk about Aquarius falling into the nakshatra for the one who needs 100 healers in the Vedic philosophy. So in the Vedic astrology, this nakshatra means that the person is probably going to be sick for a long time, and they will have to have a lot of people help them and get themselves together. And yes, I do definitely agree there is a sickly part of Aquarius, and it does usually kind of make sense if you think about it, because Aquarius' system, nervous system, the psyche and how things work from the head, from the pineal gland. And if a person is constantly run dry or running down, or they're not quite sure how to fix things, and they're constantly trying to taskmaster other people or do something for others, and if they are always thinking and their logic is always based on some kind of result, then yeah, for sure I can see how in the modern age there's going to be many people experiencing meltdowns and confusion, and their brain might have brain fog, or their body might feel weak because of a certain type of rundown nervous system. And that of course is obvious, as we do definitely have to live in such a way, in such a pace that is not natural for humankind. For example, answering emails all the time, being on the phone, running around, looking at social media, doing things at a speed of light sometimes to make it work, to make things matter. So in a sense, if you're a nerd, and also if you're like an extra giver, if you give a lot, I really believe in you and trust in you this time. It's actually very easy to solve you and help you, because that person that's in the gray area, that's in between people, that's not getting any nurture, that is not accessible, that has been shunned by society, or a person that has been deep in their study, could actually be one of the best types of people to see today. And in a sense, they could be in a golden center in terms of their job. It's a very, very lucky time for collectors, for geeks, for vulnerable people, for people that are pushing the cart for others, for people that are also working in certain type of service jobs that involve having to heal or help multiple people. And of course that is not maybe hard for you. If you've been doing it a long time, you might not even flinch. It's like, yeah, in my job as a paramedic, I have to see sometimes so many people, you know, go through something very, very difficult, very deep, and I got used to it. And that's a wonderful, powerful point. But don't undermine this aspect of your lifetime. So as we are in Dragon year, it's very important to look at the alpha aspects, to look at the good, deep, well-rooted, strong and sincere aspects of life, and to not necessarily forget also those of us, or those people, or just things that happen in our lives that are underneath some kind of burden, or feel kind of thwarted, or feel like they have been put between the rock and the hard place. Because I actually have a feeling that quite a lot of people are acting out of strategy that they have evolved by trying to survive and experience the experience of scarcity. So a lot of us don't actually know this maybe about us, but there is lack of wisdom or understanding of life, because we had to twist around and we had to imagine such a life, we had to imagine such a job or such a world where nothing is free and everything is kind of twisted and messy, and it has to be a little bit up and down, a little bit dangerous, a little bit spicy for it to succeed. So let's talk about keeping things spicy, as this might also be a very deep part of this time. So I'm seeing quite a lot of people these days really like run away from their real world, and there is a big echo of energy also like running through my house at the moment from certain type of psychosis that happens to people when they involve in a certain thing that is not real. For example, gaming, watching too much television, collecting pleasure items, seeking help by using inanimate objects, or collectomania or anything like that, to get themselves feeling beautiful and happy. Aquarius is the sign of the unnatural, not necessarily unnatural, of the artist. And yeah, I mean, if you think about this is also why I've recently been giving up on art, is because I don't see the point. Because there is not enough breath, or there is not enough consciousness within it, as it is so outside. It's so outside of the natural system. So I mean, this is your choice how you approach this, but this is all about fetish art, collectibles, junk that we just buy or look at online. It's about media, it's about social media, it's about the nervous system being high-rised and trying to survive by using sweetness, by using color, by using oversaturation of any kind, by using unnatural means of survival, and also by using unnatural territories and tricky paperwork and fearlessness when it comes to very unnatural things to have one say. It's also about, like, say, synthetics, unnatural fibers. It's about human innovation, and it's about inventions that are keeping us going beyond life itself. Now, this is a very karmic topic for me, because I don't feel that me even or other people could probably step away from the computer today. I don't feel also easy with the fact that so much is to do with, like, say, economics and like this like junkyard of, like, say, cryptocurrencies we have today in the world. I feel it's very, very uneasy to see people, young people today, but even mature people, being so stuck on themselves in social media, being so stuck on themselves as to what they're presenting outside with hair and makeup and artistry. A fashion is just artistry, art. And not seeing their real true colors or their real face. You know, there's a lot of people that I've seen in my life that were afraid of themselves, and they could never have ever been able to afford or look in the face of the truth, which is exactly you know, what I'm kind of approaching today. And this understanding of how well you are and how good you are at you, by just understanding the neurological system, the nervous system, and caring for it. And maybe in certain cases, yeah, art and music and escapism and reading and media can be medication for somebody with a very, very slow heart. The obvious thing is that the opposite sign to Aquarius is Leo. In a sense, art, music, anything innovative and anything made up, basically, is a very, very big part of this world. It's probably the 80% of what people really looking forward to and what they love. And definitely it is, in a sense, medication for the masses. And it is also about stimulation of people. It's about overstimulation, and it's about trying to get those hormones, be it through pornography, for example, be it through art, be it through trying to be somebody socially that you cannot actually physically be and such. And the world is full of it. So basically what we have here is a very interesting, unique game playing sequence. It is definitely very interesting and good for nerds and innovators. It's interesting for the artist. And it is interesting for people that use machines, technologies, or made up words and actions, made up ideas in order to benefit and to maybe even open a trap for money or abundance, you know. So this is also about ingenuity. I mean, some of the first ingenuity of human beings were traps, like bear traps, or creating things where we could live or we could be safe, like, for example, the structure of homes or the structure of certain environments, controlling the earth, controlling environment to suit our needs and our cultures and our tastes. You know, sometimes, you know, these days it's just about feeling the love and kind of this escapism, which is very, very blatant and obvious today. Wherever you look, it's obvious that we don't live even on this planet anymore. We live in a system that we have ourselves created and designed and are now suffering from, because it has nothing to do with natural law and order. Sorry guys, it's too much. Okay, probably. Okay, so the funky part of this is that you can do it better this time or next time. So for the tired old soul that is sick of doing what they were going to do, sick of like agriculture based living solutions, sick of their home, sick of their family, sick of what they've made in their life, it's a very soothing time. So this could be awesome for music, this could be awesome for art, this is good escapism, this is like Valium. An older person sitting there in front of their computer screen, drifting off to sleep and pretending that their life kind of didn't happen the way that it did. And I get it. It's a beautiful time to destroy the obvious also with a dream. So for example, suddenly saying, yeah, I know I'm, say, for example, 55 years old, and I've given birth to, like, for example, 3 children, and I have my family, and I got my commitments, and I got this. I got all these payments that I have to make. I've got all these dues. I got all of this stuff. And guess what? I'm getting out of here. I'm going to go for a ride, and I might not even come back. You know, it's like, I'm sorry to make a laugh of this. It's like Dad went out for a pack of smokes, and he never came back. So it's kind of one of those things, and it's one of those thinking patterns of enjoying yourself to such a degree where it's very, very, very hard to imagine that you are who you were, and imagining your life into something else, and something else, and something else, forever changing. So this is something that maybe we should talk about as a species, people imagining themselves instead of just letting themselves be who they are. You know, so through music, through media, through comedy, through wild tastes and dreams and ideas, through color, through fashion, through the arts, people designing themselves again, or they believe in their nervous system as being that outside of the normal, primitive, perhaps human norm. So that's something that also happened to me since I was a child. And it's interesting, maybe you have something to say about this escapism through man-made realities. If you want, you can say something about this, would be interesting to hear. But yeah, in the end, we still have Saturn to look forward to. And not just this, we're going to maybe even wipe away quite a lot of this, or we're going to have to learn how to live alongside it. And yes, of course, it is in a sense about being young and free. Aquarian moons are very young and free, and it is about having choices and having a very strong know-how system and having a very know-how ideas bank to be able to not give up. You know, so this is also like all this art and escapism and elitism and all this beauty and vulnerability are also woven in to this interesting spectrum of survival. And it's interesting because I'm really feeling this coming through at the moment, the question of what does one actually have to have, what is real, what is not nurturing, and also what could eventually potentially come with you and help you grow, or maybe even help you grieve. So there is a very, very big superhuman, altruistic, mega political, maybe humanitarian, deep, maybe wounded support system coming through. So this is the elders speaking. This is old people rising up and saying no more to my teenager playing games every single day. It's like saying, I will not put up with this. I will not put up with the world being how it is, or I will not help my people, or, you know, help my friends do that which I don't believe in. So this could be very much about stands, and it's like changing of your life. It's like I used to like go around and just schmooze and like smoke weed and like have fun, and then I recognize right now that I'm not about this, and I actually want a really strong, sturdy root system, and I want a life that counts, or that lasts, and that flourishes, and that gives space and hope to many others. You know, so this is the echo effect, and for sure this viral, you know, it's like, hey, I love this Tamagotchi, I love it, and all my friends now have it, you know, they all have Tamagotchis. Also viruses, viral, you know, I've got a disease, and then everybody else got a disease also. Mars, Venus together in the conversation, with Pluto very close by, and Mercury very quickly to, for example, catch the drift, like get along, you know, get happy and funky with somebody else. And it's also very incredibly heavy to see people today not caring and catching certain diseases, or even identities that do not have anything to do with them. And then basically still we do have Saturn Sun alignment to look forward to at the end of the sky. So at the end of the month, sorry. So yeah, I mean, what can I say? In certain cultures and certain people, especially certain ethnic groups and communities, there's just a natural awakening of the trees, meaning there is connection point to the main neuron, to the main person that gives the main comment or the main education to others. I mean, what do we do here? It's not about paperwork. It's not about necessarily people getting good, stable income from, for example, a nerdy job or a very high learned, qualified job, although that could also be part of the sky. It's more just about being there for others to such a degree where you really understand who you are and who you were and who you will ever be. So this is about being not nervous about supporting other people. It's about being not nervous about having a network, and maybe having some heaviness and a heavy heart about how far things have gone. So colonialism, genocides, understanding where things were and where they are now. For example, looking at the forest, or what once was a forest now giving way to a city, or encroaching neighborhoods, understanding what water is, light, gas, amenities, petroleum, recognizing where these resources are leaking from and what is the danger or the karma of living on this planet while not really maybe wanting or knowing what to do just yet. But this is about organization and formation. For a lot of us, it is not necessarily secret, but it's kind of gathering underneath. It's a volcanic energy. We do have a stellium behind the sun, volcanic energy gathering. So there's probably pressure gathering. There are people wanting to get the better results. Chiron is next to North Node, and Aries also at a sextile to the sun. So for sure there's going to be some question marks. Why did this happen? Why did that happen? Where is the leak? Where is the place of pain or harm or danger? Why do I still think this is appropriate? Where are, those people that I was counting on? Or like, where am I going to get what I want to get here? Or how am I going to survive? For example, the people up north not knowing where to fish anymore, not having rights. Also certain villages don't have rights for hunting now, but they don't really have any other choices because they've lived like that for thousands of years. There are lots of us asking also what is natural and what is nurturing to a human. And there are going to be a lot of places for people eventually just magically appearing that actually do not want to let go. So even though we are in this computerized blip and bloop, funky colored, rainbow, fake he, she, it, I don't know, Z pronoun land, there's definitely going to be a very, very deep, probably dark and strange feeling of ha ha ha. Well, so there is going to be this very deep and dark and emotional feeling of not necessarily a foreshadowing, but a way that nature works. And I'm not saying that this is necessarily about this shift from rainbow to gray. It's not about the grayness of perception and actually being slightly afraid or nervous about where the world is going. It's about a sobering. Sobriety is a big word here during this particular time. Sobering and recognizing what the world actually is and how it's going to be in the future. We do have Sun and Uranus at a beautiful square there, and definitely there is also Jupiter at a square, I suppose, to Mercury almost there. There is a real need to change the nervous system. There's a wake-up call in certain communities, question of sustainability, and we have to see how far it's gone. So for example, if you have an infection, you have to see how far it's gone. If you have a issue, if you have a crisis, if you don't know how to get yourself together, if you're not sure if you're going to make it through the day, you have to see how far it's gone. So definitely navigative technologies, tests, testing the HP level of Earth, testing the air, testing things like that, also checking in as to why things are the way they are, why they were the way they were. And it's definitely about data and data analysis. And in a sense, maybe it's about science, scientists trying to come up with a better picture of what the world could be today. And in some cases it's definitely not. It's just about, because it's just useless, it's just going to get boring, going to get put into a little science magazine and call it a day, or Elon Musk is going to buy it and bury it, I'm not sure. But like we kind of sorry Elon, so we kind of like, never mind. The thing basically is getting very obvious, and it's getting very hard and disjointed in terms of where we are going to eventually sense our footing go, where we are going to eventually sense our children are going to go, like which schools are available, what language do they speak, what part of the world they live in, what is the type of governmental system that runs that world, and yada yada yada. What are the odds of that? So it's also about odds and the randomizing sequence, because Aquarius is really good for that. So it's like, what are the odds? What are the odds of cancer? Or say like, what are the odds of catching flu? Like each time you go to town, I've got that problem at the moment. What are the odds of telling people maybe the truth? What are the odds? So it's kind of like a very, very strange and slightly angry feeling that I feel a lot of people are feeling. But inside that anger or aggression, it's not necessarily anger. Frustration, like a brewing frustration, understanding that you didn't get the result you wanted, or your ancestors would have just been so depressed for the results that you're getting in your world today, or your mother would be so worried, anything like that. There's a big wake-up call. So awakening is not just like, euphoria, I am living in the rainbow village, or I'm living in the beautiful world. It's not just this. It's never going to be this, because it's not who we are, you guys. It's not how this program works. The original programs is not. Never mind. We have to really think about this. We have to have a look at this as to what people expect life to be. If they think it's going to be this candy-colored, candy-flavored universe of perfection and obviously like synchronicities and manifestation and positive thought, we have to still come back. Yeah, I mean, I still have a lot of kindness and care for, that part of my group that, listens to me and still takes care of me. But there's really a real need to understand like the boring, worth it parts, like resources, world events, climate change, and definitely also understanding results for other people, where they are and where they've come to be, who they're going to be years later. And why are we still here is simply because we don't want to make it a how can I say, weird feeling between us. We want to still not necessarily match lives or copy reality. It's not about copying. It's not about trying to align to each other necessarily. It's just about doing what is best for all people, so these are like maybe miniature governments and little local groups, which is probably the best idea in the end. So should there be any kind of global crisis way out there that's being caused by some kind of like red button event, there's going to still be some community here. And yeah, of course, I'm still in Peru for now, for sure. And there's going to be probably something that I'll have to understand just by living certain type of country with certain type of community basis. I mean, so it's your choice how you do this. I'm not telling you to unpick your life and necessarily wash all your makeup off your face and take out your breast implants and have a big cry about your life. I'm not telling you to necessarily come back to your original kind of God-given or nature-given state. I'm not telling you to necessarily forgive and forget and move on and try to keep it humble and learn about what water, air, fire and earth really are. I'm not necessarily sending you the Chicana message, which is the South American sort of like Peruvian situation of like being guided by the earth. I'm not necessarily telling you to like bow down to Pachamama and have a say or have a look at yourself as a species and not just as some kind of blip in the system or some kind of made up phenomenon. I'm just kind of letting you go and do your own thing here. But yeah, for the people that are listening to me that have come from another world, and there is a huge awakening happening in Peru, for example, and Hawaii. In New Zealand, there are some very awakened people in parts of Australia, things like that. And of course, North and South America and parts of Europe, especially Scandinavia, for Europe, for that region, China. There are certain ethnic groups, there's certain ethnic ideologies that are coming back, and they're just saying, I want my land back. Or I want my body to be free of chemicals. I want my children to feel safe with me. I don't want my partner on the internet all day. I want to be free. I want to be free. So this is not like that, Queen, I want to break free. Like, although of course, if you had that in your head, that's absolutely okay. And if you didn't, sorry to put that in there. It's a very, very good philosophy changing energy. But if you craft anything too quick, too soon, it ain't going to work. It's about letting things brew. It's about a fine wine. It's about letting things off the hook. You can't put too much pressure into this kind of moon. It's not about, like, say, putting pressure on people to organize. It's not about making world events happen. It's not about being the truth or saying the truth or being it. It's never going to happen this way. It's just about calm, gentle, and healthy change of philosophies. We are now going into ephemeral land. We're not at the beginning of the year. We are at the end of the year. So like in Aquarius, you change your philosophies and your inner reality, your inner structure of how the world works for your being. Then in Pisces, you kind of forgive and forget and wash over, and you start with a clean slate. And Aries is going to be the only time that we're going to have to do that thing or be that person, and do it with a smile and land on our feet. It is definitely the only place in the zodiac that gives you karma-free space to try and do something different and mean it. Aries is the time to change your life if you really want to change your life. If you are really prepped and you're full of hot air and all of this wisdom and all of this idea stuff, you know, idea crafting and music and dancing and shamanic work, or just pretend cultural phenomenon, are making you feel so happy-go-lucky and open or available to God, or, you know, like there's so many people that are using pop culture as God. You know, they're using these pseudo pop culture as representations of the divine. Yeah, like, and I already hinted that God is not a man with a beard. God cannot have a face or a name, you know, and it is not going to be good if we like continue in this kind of escapism, this father-mother wound stuff, the sweetness, the rainbow. Like, we're going to consider that being the main pull or the main crux of our life. Faith is a huge concept here, faith and belonging and believing. And I'm feeling quite a lot of people are scattering. It's not necessarily that they shattered, but they don't really have anything my God, sometimes to do here anymore. Why are these new generations so escapist? Why are people just watching TV and eating crackers and doing God knows what, or just concentrating on art like plastic surgery and just pretense? Why? Because they are done here. There are a lot of genetic groups, not necessarily genetic groups. There are a lot of codes and practices that are here because it's not necessarily, oh, sorry about this, it's kind of the end. You know, like they don't want to do anything else. They don't want to do anymore. They don't want to try. They don't want to believe, they don't want to breathe fresh air into new projects. They just want to starve themselves out of this planet, you know. So how can I say, living in a high-rise building and having a pretend life that is full of pretend friends and pretend action, anything and everything is kind of just glitz and glamour and kind of, I suppose, a escape form. And many people are living 100% in an escapist way, 100%. And why is kind of like because they're done. They don't want to go, and maybe their genetic or their family tree has just lost itself. It doesn't want to continue. And yeah, I mean, of course, we can talk about, you know, continuing as a tribe, having a vision. We can also talk about children and their children. What are they going to inherit when we go? But I don't want to go there. I suppose the main surprise and the main curiosity in this game is not this. The very interesting thing that I'm noticing about this particular time and these coming days is the fact that we're not going to be noticed maybe for some things that we think, say and feel. There's going to be a shrouded element or aspect, and then there's going to be a hyper vibrant surprise. In some cases it's going to be a complete no, and in some cases it's going to be a complete yes. There's also a showering of gifts and presents, and it kind of comes from that tired place or a tired mind for a person that's been waiting too long, you know, for a shaman in hiding, for a person that has been like a placement or like a figure for somebody else, a person that has been raising other people's awareness, for a person that's been also saving their money, a person that's been saving their time, a person that has been careful with their home, a person that's been kinder to their elders, a person who's been putting themselves down a little bit to let something else grow, maybe even in secrecy, not for show. It is going to be very special as to what can happen, because in some storyline I'm seeing that which was previously overly serving or overly subservient and overly caring and has become kind of grey, or has become kind of lazy with itself and too active with something or somebody else, it may start to come up onto the surface, you know. And there could be a chance that maybe with low or high sea levels or other things that are happening, things are going to come up to the surface, and they're very good to see today. So facts, achievements, enlightenment, also medical facts, scientific facts, And in some cases, you might be able to achieve that yourself. You could go through your life and surface facts for other people or surface facts for yourself. And sometimes you'll get a gentle, wonderful, and happy surprise because you didn't maybe think that something mattered, and it did. Maybe you didn't think something was healthy, and it was. Maybe you didn't think something would happen, and it would definitely happen. So it's a very, very nice time to also not play it dumb. If you have, for example, an infection in your body, if you have a due by date, if you have some paperwork to do, if you have something to show up for, maybe it is also an important part of the prize is to finally pull the band-aid and do that thing that you were meant to do maybe a while ago. So this is about taxes and debts and staying behind and not having to go through something that you don't want to go through anymore. So thank you very much. I hope this has been helpful to at least some of my audience. I'm sorry for the lateness. Wish me luck, as I'm about to encroach on a journey in a sense, and we'll have to find a good computer. And yes, all the very best. I hope that you're enjoying these last 3 weeks of the year. That will end on March 21st, and we'll start a new cycle for everybody. Thank you so much. Enjoy, and I'll see you next time. Happy Dragon Year. Bye.